So you mentioned that you also had, because mom used to be a manas and also to run the business. What was the business about and how did you?
Cereal business, actually. Just cereal business.
She was a serial entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Literally, you got it?
No, not serial entrepreneur.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
How do you manage to maneuver this period whereby you have a huge passion for fashion?
Yeah.
Your family doesn't believe this is a career.
Yeah.
And your family is probably the ones who are supposed to back you up.
I think it's knowing what you want, at whichever age, and sticking by it, and still allowing advice, but be consistent in just doing what you want to do.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Night Business. My name is Ian Dennis, and as always, each and every week we have a very interesting show lined up. And today it's no different. I have with me a fashionista. But before I get to introduce my guest, I want to remind you that you're here at the Capital Club, the place you need to be as an entrepreneur. Because at the Capital Club, you have an access to a huge network. You always say your network is your net worth, and being a part of the Capital Club, it just gives you an access to a network that you can't even believe it in every particular corporate world and entrepreneurship world. I also want to remind you that two of my books, one Business Conquest and the other Food for Thought, are actually out. You can get your copy at the Textbook Center. The guest I'm about to have a conversation with is an award-winning fashion designer. And we're just about to engage in a very, very interesting conversation. I'm speaking about none other than Aulgah Nato. Hope I got it right.
You got it right.
I've tried.
Yeah.
Looking all good.
Thank you.
That's leather, but what's that?
Leather.
Tell us about the design that you have.
Wow.
I'm putting you on the spot right away.
What a spot on, yeah. I got this fabric from Thailand some time back.
From?
Thailand.
Thailand, all right.
Yeah, so I got it some time back, maybe in 2019. So yeah, I made a few pieces of it, and one of the pieces is this that I'm having.
Interesting. Looks quite dope. Next time I'll need one too.
Thank you.
All right. There's a quote I wanted us to start this conversation with. Patience is a cornerstone for building a lasting business. Building a sustainable business requires patience as various components come together gradually over time. You've been in business for quite a while. How does this particular quote speak to you? I
find it quite relatable because I think in what I do, patience is a virtue. Yeah.
How have you managed to just have patience to build a brand over the years you've been into?
Sometimes when you do it, you do not know actually you're practicing patience, but over the time you realize, oh, it's this that I've been doing every day. You wake up to do the same thing every day. And over the time you learn that, oh, it's been this long, I've been doing this same thing. This is what has built me to where I am today. It's just doing the same thing repeatedly without giving up.
What keeps you patient all along? Because I know primarily in building anything, there's that aspect of I want to make it very fast, I want to make it to the New York Fashion Week, I want to be this and this.
Right.
What has kept you patient all along?
It's also knowing your why you started.
What's your why?
Why?
You're like, why are you asking that?
No. I definitely, first, why is I wanted to survive. And second, no, I would say why, my first why was from the love of fashion that I had from a very young age. A girl of 9 years old, I already knew I really loved fashion because that was around the same time I lost my mom.
Oh, sorry.
And she left quite of a wardrobe. I believe she was such a fashionista. So I picked a number of her clothes and I used to adjust them and wear them. So I didn't play much in the afternoons. I would just pick my mom's clothes and try them on, hoping each day that they will fit me.
Did they eventually end up fitting you? Or you just
So a number of them, of course, didn't, because my mom must have been in her late 30s. And here I am, a girl who is not even 10 years old. So I'd pick her clothes, try fit, the ones that I really loved. I took them to Fundi wa Mtaa to adjust them, and the ones that I could actually worked on them on my own.
What influence did your parents have? Because you've mentioned, what's it called, mom passed on quite early.
Yeah.
But maybe the stint when she was alive, how much influence did she have on your life?
I think the fact that I was the youngest daughter.
Ah, you're the last one?
Yes, daughter. I have a brother following.
When you say that, it means you're so many.
No, maybe. I have one sister.
How many?
I have one sister and 4 brothers.
All right.
But my mom used to, do her vitenge, and anything remaining should use it on me. So would twin. Yeah, so
like a last born.
exactly.
Yeah,
So I see that, and I think that had a touch, and the fact that I used to find her to love pictures. She took lots of pictures.
Back in the days.
Back in
with
the
the film.
With the film.
Alafu kaoshwe. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and even the photos on the wall.
Yeah.
I picture someone who really loved fashion. And with all those, I think you get to do something that someone loved without even knowing that you picked after them.
And dad, what does dad help you?
No, my dad did not support fashion one bit.
And what was mom's career?
My mom was a nurse. Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And what aspirations did you have growing up? What did you want to be?
I guess at a younger age, I wanted to. I don't know whether I want to call it. I wanted to be a fashion designer, but I knew I loved fashion, so I needed something around it. In between, maybe my teen, now I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a news anchor. And
why didn't you? You have all the components. Kizungu,
really? Yeah, so I knew I wanted to do that, but yeah, so much later things changed because my love for fashion was actually pulling me a lot more. Though my family wanted me to pick a career.
So fashion is not a career?
No.
You just become like a normal tailor.
Yeah, just like, give us who inspires you in, because, I mean, growing up, you can attest to that how many fashion designers
very
did you
few.
know?
Yeah. None,
Yeah, so telling anyone who has a career that you want to be a designer or a tailor, they thought maybe because of a last born thingy, you're not focused,
you're not confused.
You're still very confused. You will see the light
eventually.
Later. Yeah.
So you always say they're called a kitinda.
Yeah.
That's true. And
yes.
from what you said, like, mom was literally an influence. What's it called when you're trying to try what she used to do and all that stuff? But how did this interest morph over the years to where exactly it is right now?
I guess I'll actually trace this back and give her a lot of credit. Other than her love for fashion, dressing up, and us twinning, she had a small business that I used to run as well. So every time after school, there will be someone there, but I'll always be there, all right? And other than that, she gave me money to keep. I always kept money for sadaka, yeah? So every church day, every church day, even though I did not know the value of money, I'd be the one giving my siblings sadaka. So yes. So I learned about savings way back, and also I interacted with money also way early. And so I think once I grew up, I knew I was confident to handle money. I welcomed money.
And so you mentioned that you also had, because mom used to be a manas and also to run the business. What was the business about, and how did you?
Cereal business, actually, just cereal business.
She was a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Literally, you got it.
No, not serial entrepreneur.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
The cereal and cereal. And
yes.
I get you.
Yeah.
And how was it running the business back then when you were young? Because you mentioned you're also running that part of that business at that particular point. How was it? What lessons did you gain from that point?
To be very honest, at that point, I knew I just wanted to be around my mom after school.
Last born.
Yeah, so I didn't look at it as a big deal. But then when I started handling money, she was a bit not so strict with money. I did not know the value of money, but she'd give me money to keep. And so sometimes she'd even have no money, and she'd ask me, do you have any money? And that time I had lots of coins that she had given me to keep, which I did not even know their worth at the point. So I'll just carry money and give her. Like, yeah, this is the much we have in our savings. So yeah, we had that scope, elephant thing. So I would put money there. And so I think those some of the stuff I can remember her putting in me without even realizing that she was actually sowing a seed.
Interesting. And did you ever think that probably later on you'll be an entrepreneur out based on that? Because you lost mom quite early. My mom was the influence in terms of that. Did you have any particular other entrepreneurship endeavors?
In the family? I didn't know I would, but one of my brothers, who is also my friend, did not get into employment. He was a businessman, and I also think that gave me the courage to quit employment, because I later got into employment, and I knew if he's able to do it and he's doing well, I said I would do it. If I fail, I'll still go back home.
Last one.
I will still go. Yeah, but deep down, I knew I didn't want to fail, because this is a business that my family did not support. So knowing that they did not support it, I went ahead and I knew I didn't want to fail. But I also still said, in the event that I fail, I think I still have their backup as my support.
And how do you manage to maneuver this period whereby you have a huge passion for fashion? Your family doesn't believe this is a career. And your family is primarily the ones who are supposed to back you up. How do you navigate? How did you navigate this period? Even for those who are watching this, maybe have this passion, maybe want to become a DJ. Everyone's like, this is not a career. How did you go about it? Because I think it's something that most people are actually facing.
It's the same thing we started with: patience, but also consistency and staying focused to what you want. Because if today I say I want to sell water, and then tomorrow I want to sell to be a DJ, and then a day after I want to be,
you water it down.
No one will think that you're serious. So I think it's knowing what you want, at whichever age, and sticking by it, and still allowing advice, but be consistent in just doing what you want to do.
So you mentioned, what did you study? Where did you go to university? What did you study?
PR and communication.
All right. So you went to do that, and then eventually got into a career.
Yes.
How did you face this period? Because primarily you have this burning desire. You're going to study something that primarily it wasn't. I believe probably it wasn't something you wanted.
Exactly.
How did you go through this period whereby you're doing something that you don't want to do, but you want to please your parents, but eventually still want to hold on to your dream?
Patience, and knowing where you want to be. And in all this, by the way, I think it was more of, I put myself out there that no matter what, if I fail, I still think I'll have their support. But I set myself not to fail. So when I get into this, first of all, I stepped out of the country and I struggled with two stuff. It was my hair and also clothing. So this place, they were either selling very high standard stuff that I wasn't used to, because I was back in the day, or in Kenya, I would shop in Toi or Ngara. You'd get stuff at 200, 500, and then I'm getting to a space where things are like 20,000. Like, what are you talking about?
The 200 shillings became $200.
So that much, and then hair, I would go to Kenyatta Market, and it's 500, 1,000, and you've done your braids, and you're looking the part, and then I get to that place. First of all, they don't do our hair, and then you get a place where probably they're able to do, but they are charging so much money. So I thought to myself, there's a gap. There's a gap in seeing where there is high, especially in fashion. They had very low of maybe standard of easily low, not even easily upper, easily low, and then high end. And so I felt there was a gap for people in between that could be filled. And also in hair, I thought, what if I would be back home, learn something on how to do my hair? First of all, everything was about me. Like, how about I come back home, learn how to do beauty hair, so when I'm back there, I'm able to sort myself and not to waste so much money. And secondly, in fashion, there is a gap. There is a gap for middle, lower, middle, upper. I just felt there was a gap that could be filled. So I'm coming back home and I'm thinking I need to go and study something in fashion school so that when I go back there, I'm able to do this.
Oh, so you came back to Kenya to study it?
Yeah, I did.
So you're in the States or Europe?
No. I was actually a place in Africa, but really distant from what we do. So I get back here and I tell my family I want to study fashion, and they're like, I mean, instead of thinking of doing your masters, you're thinking about behind what's up? What's this? So again, we tried to negotiate with them, and we did not agree, and I landed into doing graphics and design because I needed to do something to back what I was doing already on the other side. So in between here, I had applied for some jobs, PR jobs, and I got a call in one of the PR firms, and they accepted. So they took me in, and while I was working here now, I said to myself, this is the opportunity that I needed to do this that I loved without involving anyone. So I started doing my sketches, doing a lot of research, gathering everything else that I needed. Almost a year into this, or just a year into work, I resigned. I also left home without telling them that I had resigned.
So you left home even they didn't know you were leaving home?
No. They knew I was leaving home, but I told them I've gotten a space that was much closer to work. So I moved. But you resigned. Because I didn't want questions, and I had made up my mind. I really wanted to try this. So I moved out, maybe in a space like this, and it had a balcony, thank God. So I bought one machine and put it there, got a tailor to help me. Go through with my dream and see my vision come through with this.
And how was it making that particular transition from, you're in the corporate world, one becomes very comfortable, but here you're backed by your dream, and then you make that bold decision. How did you prepare for it, and how did you manage that particular transition? Because sometimes you can transition from corporate to business, and then it all goes south.
Yeah, I think just because I was still just by myself, I knew no one else depended on me. It was just me. And also the urge that I wanted to succeed in this, and also to see my mom. I really wanted to see how people dressed when my mom was a young girl. So girls in the 80s, early 90s. I really wanted, and that became my inspiration for the longest time.
And take me through the earlier years of the business. How was it?
I would thank God.
Because you resigned, whatever, so you're trying to go, you decided to go all in. And how are the earlier years?
I'd want to say I'd really want to thank God in the years that I started, because so I get to start in this small place. There I also had neighbors. So one of my neighbors it tells me that, Aulgah, I work in a production company, and time to time we get to need wardrobe assistance. Would this be something you'd want to try? I said, yeah. So he gets to introduce me to his boss. His boss gets to ask me, we need 3 outfits per day for 3 days a week for this particular show. I'm excited. Remember, this is my very first time, because when I resigned, I was just making clothes for myself and sharing them with my friends in church and so. And so this guy tells me, after introducing me to his boss agrees that I can give them clothes. I get back home, I am working day and night to do this, and fair enough, they were only hiring these things, they were not buying. So by the end of the show, I think it was after 3 months or something, I ended up with so many clothes, right? Because they were returned. I did not make any money in doing this production, but I ended up with so much. There was, back in the day, there was also something called Nairobi Fashion Market. So one of my friends gets to introduce me to this, like, there's a fashion market. I think you can use it to, it's a platform you can use to put your brand out there. So I say, how do I go about it? They tell me stall is 60,000. I'm like, I can't afford that. Then say, if you're sharing, it's 30,000. I say, I'd wish to share. So I get a friend, we get to share this, the store. And the first one I quite didn't sell, but I gave out a few of my cards, and maybe I retained 2, 3, 4 clients who called later, and that is how we started. And I think 6, 8 months into it, there was another one. So there was one early in the year, and then the Christmas one. So the Christmas one, now I made sales. I made sales. Remember, this is my first year. I made sales. Maybe it was the first time I made 100,000. I sold. Significant. Yes, I sold. It's usually, it was Saturdays and Sundays. Just on Saturday, I was able to make 100K. On Sunday, I had nothing much to sell. Remember, because I was just, it was a new thing. So this gave me confidence, like, oh, this is something I'm able to actually push and do something. And I would give credits to really the friends who believed in me. One of my friends, we were in campus with, just told me, Aulgah, I'm wedding, and I want you to do my wedding. I had zero experience in that.
A wedding gown?
Yes, wedding gown, wedding bridesmaids. I was one of the bridesmaids, and she told me, I want you to do this for me. So really, it's, to me, I would give credits to friends who were willing to work with me or believed in me in those initial years. And
interesting. All right. What an interesting point to just stop this particular, what's it called, come to an end to part 1 of the show. So we're going to come through next week with another particular part, just to find out how exactly did this dream literally get to transpire, and how exactly did it, what's it called, Aulgah end up building a big, big brand. So we're going to find that probably in the next part. So thanks so much for having watched the show. Hope you've learned a thing or two from this particular conversation. Until next week, I'll see you right here on the Late Night Business.